sheet and with percentages. Then the staff, the teaching and non-teaching staff, all got a questionnaire. Then the children all got a questionnaire. So the staff information has all been compiled as well. The children were practically finished, and the final part of this evaluation is that they will then do a workshop with the Board of Management.
Tonight. Yeah.
And is she coming tonight?
I think so.
So that will happen. So when all of this is finished, we will put together all of the information, and we can look at, say, the positives, what people feel we're doing well, areas that maybe people feel they're not getting enough information.
It's a brave thing for us to do. Yeah, isn't it? To say so.
Yeah. So that's your initiative to do this evaluation, or is
no, the Educate Together were looking for volunteer schools, and we volunteered.
Like there was no requirement.
We didn't have to do it. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want.
No, we didn't have to do it.
Yeah, so it's better. Then the questions there are the real questions.
Yes, that's right. But most parents were very good. But you always get a few parents who, you know, they were very bad on this and this and this.
You could on the back sheet.
Complaining.
You could put, you know, if you wanted additional comments. And I mean, most of them are very, very good. And some of the areas that we need to work on, it was really good because they were identified both by the parents and the staff that we kind of had common ground. Now, there were a few
parents who complained about it,
you know, and there were 3 or 4 that we were kind of doing nothing right.
And who like a big empty page and they can write more and more and more.
Another question, is it anonymous or with name?
No, anonymous.
But
yeah, then you do get some people who complain. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but on the other hand, still.
Well, where it's anonymous,
you do, yes, you do.
So again, I'm sorry for this question, but I always am judging what's better because again, sorry to convert to Japan, but I like so many things there because we have so many prejudices about this early education.
Yeah.
But it's never anonymous. Even when students reflect to the professor or lessons, it shouldn't be because. Not that it shouldn't be, but then he puts in a way what he understands, what he does. So this is also information for professors.
Yes.
If many students don't understand what's going on in the lesson, it's information for him.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it also means he should listen. And same is with parents. If they put their name, they really don't.
But you see, sometimes, I understand. But sometimes with parents. Yes, we have national inspection about every 5 years.
5 years.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, but sometimes with parents, they only think about their own child.
Yeah.
They just think about my child, and they don't care that they have to think of everybody.
Yeah. Maybe another question: what kind of competences, what kind of quality you ask to a teacher?
As interview?
Coming to your school, working in your school.
Well, we look at their communication, how much they understand and they know and they understand the Educate Together ethos, because there aren't that many schools. How they are, what their attitude is towards children. How would colleagues describe you? How would you like to be remembered? Teamwork. How do you work with other colleagues? What else do we ask you?
Well, I mean, a question, they're always asked at interview about there was always a question about the ethos of the school. But I mean, well, first and foremost, I suppose we want you to have somebody who is fully qualified. And if people, particularly newer teachers, would probably have recent reports from either college or from where they do. Because once you leave college, you then have a probationary year. You're not fully probated for another year.
You get a diploma then at the end.
That's for all Irish teachers?
Yes,
Well, in secondary, the HDIP, there would be.
And we do the primary DIP at the end of that year, the primary diploma. It used to be 2 years.
Where the inspector comes and visits the teacher in the school and goes through. And I mean, it has got to the point, it is crazy. The amount, the paperwork that is now expected of teachers, as in many professions, is ridiculous. It's not benefiting teaching and learning. We had students on teaching practice from the training college.
With 11 students
They're coming with wheelie bags, the airline bags. The students are coming with wheelie bags full of folders and notes, and all the time. Now, you have to have notes, you have to have plans, but what they are now looking for is got to be ridiculous.
Yes.
And in England it's much worse. We're still...
Yeah, I know.
So you say that they in the university are asking too much?
Yes, but it's now they're now looking from us.
Teacher, yeah, okay.
You know, the day when an experienced teacher could get up, you know, something changes in your class and you get up and you teach a different lesson and you have the experience to do it. If an inspector came in, the inspector would say, where are the notes for that lesson?
Yes.
You know, everything has to have notes.
Or sometimes, like, we have a fox who lives here, and if you see the fox, you might decide we'll all go out and look at the fox. You know. But we still do it. We still do it.
Why we all obey this?
Yeah, we don't. Well, we don't.
But yes, they do. I mean, we had our inspection a few years ago and it went very well and all, but we had, I don't know how to describe him without being ageist, a young fella who had taught for 2 years. He had 2 years teaching experience and he was the inspector.
Our inspectors are all used to be teachers. You have to be a teacher first.
And
For 2 years.
wanted paperwork and paperwork and paperwork. He even wanted, like, even in the infant class, that every drawing the children did, you had a photograph of it on record. You know.
Wow.
Every
drawing.
He was in research. Admittedly, he was in research for 6 years. He taught for 2 years, then was in research, and then became an inspector.
But he didn't understand.
Pictures of all that he did.
Well, but he didn't understand the warmth of the class.
The people from the school who went to the politics or whatever, they are just not capable to stay at school. So they then make a rule.
Yes, for everybody. But he didn't understand that a classroom is a living place with real people in it. Yeah.
Well, he actually asked, because there'll be a few of us now in the same age group, and he wanted to know, were there any retirements imminent?
For me and Louise.
This lady here asked, do we know about their visit? For something like a whole school evaluation, yes, you do. But for the day-to-day visits, you don't. And there was a time where the inspector would come in and maybe meet the principal and talk, but then the teachers' unions weren't very happy with the inspectors and had quite a few criticisms about the inspectorate last year. So the inspectors kind of got very upset about this and they kind of wanted to get their own back a bit. So they started landing into schools. We called them tiger visits, you know, like the tiger rabbits. So we called them the tiger visits. So they started landing into schools and it didn't matter whether you were teaching 2 years or 22 years. They just came in and said, show me all your notes, show me all your paperwork, I want to see it now.
Yeah.
So we have that now, fortunately.
That's why we keep the gate locked.
So they started doing that last year because they were annoyed that teachers were complaining about them.
But the teachers' unions in Ireland are very strong. We have a very strong ownership of the teaching, especially, which is good in a lot of ways. You know, in a lot of ways.
What the system? Do you have local authorities system of education or centralized system? Centralized.
Yes.
So what's the autonomy of the school?
The autonomy of the school is the board of management and the school hires teachers. A teacher applies to an individual school for a job and we interview. 3 people interview, the principal, the chairperson, the board and an independent person. It's all paid for by the department. The department funds 95% of all schools, of all primary schools. The other 5% we have to cover with fundraising. Yeah. And that's the same in church schools and the church wants it that way because that 5% gives power. So we have to be very careful, we have to fundraise. So we're not allowed to charge parents money, but we can ask for a voluntary contribution, which is anonymous in an envelope. And parents do put it in.
So who is in charge of the fundraising? Is that your responsibility?
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
the board of management and the Parents Association.
Yeah.
The Parents Association. And we are very lucky in this school.
Where did you get your inspiration? Because when I read these books and when I see these things, I think about the Summerhill of Nil. I think about the Inaplan School at Freinet. Is this the mix? Or is this an own system?
I like to think it is, but it's not. That's only me thinking, you know. Well, it's a mix of everything. I was just explaining there to one of your colleagues there from Turkey that the Montessori system is not recognised at primary level in Ireland. That's why they are private schools. It used to be based. We had a new primary curriculum which was brought in 1971. And
that, which, by the way, was 2 books.
2 books. Yeah.
The one that came in there a few years ago was 22 books.
Yeah,
This is national.
Yes,
Let's talk about national.
Yeah, but it's a menu system. It's not prescriptive. You choose from it. But it was based on a lot on Dewey, on Pestalozzi, Friedrich Frobel, and then there wasn't money put into that. It was very much an activity-based curriculum. You see, when Ireland was founded as a state, previously to that, say in 1900, there would have been a lot of science and activity learning done in schools at that time.
I recognize Dewey because in Belgium you have also one Dewey school in Brussels.
Oh yes,
and I recognize many things here.
Do you?
Yes.
But then when the state was founded, where it became separate from England, there was a very big nationalistic focus, and the Irish language became the most important. So science went out of the curriculum. So did geography. A lot of other things went out of the curriculum, and it was Irish, and you had to speak Irish all the time to the children, and they had to learn. And then that changed again in the 1940s, that it was only between certain hours you had to do it. So it took until 1971 to get a curriculum up and running again that was very much child-centred. With a lot of the cooperative learning was based on the Johnson & Johnson research, and the later one, the 1998 one in the north. But there was no money to put into it. So since the early 90s, there were teacher groups brought together. They decided we had to revise the curriculum. So teachers with expertise in various areas came together with professors and we didn't want people from outside education, and the teacher unions came together and did a complete overhaul of the primary curriculum, and that's what we use now. We call it the revised curriculum.
And it's nearly ready for a review. It's too broad.
Yes.
It was a menu and you select, but teachers being teachers, we feel we have to do everything. And you always feel guilt. No matter how much you do, the guilt, we crucify ourselves with guilt, because you always feel, I haven't done enough. And you look at children and you have to say, well look, they've progressed, and I say, but gosh, maybe I could have progressed them more. So what we're finding now is that it is so broad, and instead of selecting and saying I'll do this and I'll do this, we're trying to do it all. It's like going into a restaurant and eating everything on the menu.
So are you saying that university, for instance, does teach how to select?
No, they don't. They don't teach teachers how to select, and that's a big criticism. That'll have to come in. But the 1998 curriculum, that was very good, that they were bringing together teachers as well with expertise for different subject areas. So in 1998, that was sort of ready, and that's what we now call the revised curriculum. And the language elements of that were based much more around Jerome Bruner and Leo Vygotsky as well, which is sort of the scaffolding methodology as well, but still not Montessori, because we think in Ireland that Montessori places too much emphasis on the head, on the cognitive, and children come for young children. It's almost as if it's a race to go straight ahead. So whereas what we try to do is broaden it out, So we do a lot of the playing and a little bit of the Reggio Emilia from the north of Italy.
This curriculum wants to be interlinked, all subjects are to be interlinked, which actually adds to the paperwork. Because when you're doing, say you're doing a lesson plan, you're teaching fractions or something in maths, you have to also then write in your notes what other subjects you will link into that and how you will do it.
Maybe in geography and art.
Or even art,
so you have a theme
or science something. And then also for all of your notes, what they now want, big emphasis is put on differentiation. You have to, for all your weekly plans and that, you have to write in how you will cater for the weaker child, how you will cater for the brighter child. If you have a child in your class who has been assigned resource hours or has difficulties, into your notes they want to see exactly
what you're doing.
But traditionally you need a background, because you can't do it without studying.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got an awful lot of in-service in this now. We did have a lot of
teachers talk about differentiation, but you need a background, you need to know very good your content.
You do, yes, that's right. That's right.
Without this, it's not possible.
Yeah. Now we did have, over the last 10 years, we did have in-service training in all of the ones, but it's all due to be revised now again, But it's always evolving and changing. Justin, are you familiar with? I think some of you are interested in the teaching the children to think, isn't it? And the philosophy of children.
Yes.
Could you tell me that? Yeah. And do you know the small association, the Association Association of Teachers
Yes.
in Philosophy. Yeah. Did you meet some of them? Yeah. Because Joe Dunn from